Hello, hello, wonderful people. I hope you guys are well. It is Kopano Moshana, aka Kopano the brand, the host with the most, and I'm back with another exciting episode of People Behind the Brand. Today, we will be doing episode 4 of the 5-part series. So we are almost near the first season of People Behind the Brand. I'm very excited. And for all of you guys at home that have been supporting, I truly, truly appreciate it. Today, we'll be sitting with such a formidable guest, guys. I'm so excited. It took a while to secure her, but I'm so excited that she's in the seat. She is an award-winning HR professional with over a decade of experience, guys. So we're going to learn a lot from her today. I'm really excited. And she is the founder of Iana Consulting. Welcome to the amazing and most lovely Andisa Liba. Welcome. So excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. I can't believe it took us this long.
Yeah, it did. But you know what? I'm intentional with the people I want in my
That you
seat,
are.
so I will be patient. It's
That you
very
are.
important. So I think let's maybe start with an intro for people that don't know who you are and the amazing impact that you've done in your spaces. And then, yeah, we'll take it from there.
Fabulous. So, from a career standpoint, I like to think of myself as an executive hippie whose purpose sits at the intersection of technology, culture, and soul. In my personal capacity, I am just simply an African woman trying to find the highest expression of her existence through a lot of the philanthropic work that I do and the things that bring me joy. It really is just that simple for me.
Amazing, amazing. So I think maybe I want to start with this question. How, or rather, when was the first moment when you realized that, you know what, I'm actually building a brand here? Was it planned? Was it curated? Or was it just simply organic? Just expose your process for
So
it.
my journey was so unorthodox. It kind of happened to me. So I got to a place where I was building the aircraft as I was flying it, like literally.
Yep.
So there wasn't a singular moment where I was like, this is the moment we're going to start building a brand. I think the brand kind of built itself and I simply leaned into it. And over time, through the platforms that I speak at and through articles I wrote, through the places I traveled to, I then started going, hey, I actually need to crystallize my voice around, the things and the topics that I want people to know about me and my passions and the advocacy work that I do. And so I had to create what a blueprint is for myself. I really think it's cool that there's then people who find it and they go, hey, this is kind of new. We've never seen this one before. Like, oh, this is interesting. We didn't know you could be a former journalist, PR person who's now an HR person. Like, this is a whole new avenue. I don't think there was a singular moment where I was like, yeah, that's the day I decided to build a thing. I think my brand organically morphed into itself. And along the journey, I had to go, okay, how do I tighten the screws? So how do I make sure that it's not too loose, but it's the right packaging? And over time, I mean, I keep revisiting my brand because I keep growing, I keep surprising myself. I now have a Pan-African brand over the last 3 years. So I do now a lot of travel through Sub-Saharan Africa, and that had to be a different brand delivery. Right. So I couldn't exactly be overtly South African, in different markets. I didn't want to lose the essence of who I am. So then I had to go, okay, how do I tailor what this brand is to a Malawi, Botswana, Uganda, Namibia, and Swaziland, and all of these other countries that I've been in to then, tailor it to those specific audience. So I think for me, if I had to frame personal branding for me, it is the amalgamation of your talent, your credibility, your visibility, and your authenticity. And I think if you package that in an online platform, I know the people that I follow online and the people that I look up to are people who exhibit, some of those qualities. They're authentically themselves. They're credible in what they do, right? So they've got a bio that they can stand behind. They're exceptionally talented individuals. And also I think they've been careful about their visibility, and that for me is really key. So I think as visible as I am, I'm not hyper visible. I'm visible to the people who need to see my visibility. So I'm not everywhere, so I don't have 20,000 followers or anything like that, but yet the work that I do is still impactful. And not to take anything away, I think for people who maximize and optimize online platforms. And I also just want to be clear on that.
And do you feel like having that brand, once, of course, it was there and it was morphing and breathing, did it have an impact in your career as well as your business?
It definitely did. I'm privileged in the sense that my brand also sits at the intersection of my personal convictions. And so it didn't feel like it was something far removed from who I am. If anything else, my brand is an extension of who I am.
Absolutely. I love
And
this.
so the platforms I spoke at, and I think the interest from corporate spaces was really an amalgamation and an extension of things that already were authentically me.
I love that.
So I didn't have to really build it in the traditional sense, as it were. Yet my personal, curation of my content is really, really different. It's anchored on the things that I enjoy. I'm an avid book reader, so I'm always talking about books. I'm always reading a book. It's around, the things that bring me joy. And so I use that not so much for an audience. I use that for me.
Yes.
So my personal brands are purely for me. Yeah. So it is literally for me, and I post and I'm like, oh, that was so cool. I did that. So when I climbed Kilimanjaro and I documented the journey, so cool. It was so I can remember it. It was less to say, hey, look at me. I've climbed the tallest freestanding mountain in Africa. Yeah. Whoop-de-doo, I'm in mountaineer. No, I'm not a mountaineer. But I did something impossible, and I wanted to keep it in a space where I could go back and revisit those lessons while they were so fresh in my mind. So that's why I say the curation of my personal brand is purely for me and my enjoyment and memories, and certainly my dopamine fix. Yes. Dare I say. So I think as visible as I am, I'm not hyper visible. I'm visible to the people who need to see my visibility. So I'm not everywhere, So I don't have 20,000 followers or anything like that. But yet the work that I do is still impactful. And not to take anything away, I think for people who maximize and optimize online platforms. And I also just want to be clear on that. I'm careful, I think, around also the term curation. I think I move with intent, and I think I share the parts that make sense. And then I preserve the parts that I don't want online for myself and for my family. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff people don't know about me. You know just enough to know, to have a view of who I am. But by and large, I would say if you spend time with me one-on-one, or outside of the lens of a camera, you might be a bit surprised to learn things about me. And that for me is also intentional. So, and I think that's why I led with before that I'm not hyper visible. I'm visible enough.
But what advice would you give people that are thinking of starting a personal branding journey, and not necessarily knowing what to do first? Although, yes, with your experience, it was sort of organic and natural, just knowing the personality and the type of person that you are. But for someone else that maybe overthinks a little bit more, what do you think, just from your experience, that they would sort of want to lean in towards as they start this journey?
I think the first fundamental question, and in fact, if I had to do it all over again, I would ask myself why. Why do I want to? Because I could simply be a person who works and who does things and go home and kind of carry on with life. I would ask myself why. Why is this important to me? And if the answer is centered around impact and making impact in the lives of others, then the next step is what sort of impact. Because once you start getting into what's below the surface, the stuff that's above the line is easy to figure out. But really, how do you define your purpose? If you are thinking around legacy, what do I want my legacy to be? So if I departed from this world, what would I want people to remember me most by?
Yes.
And then you start finding your voice around those things, and how do you package what that voice is? And then you start building then the mechanics of the brand, right? So through different platforms and levers that can be pulled at different intersections. But I really think understanding what your purpose is the key that unlocks everything.
Because without the why, you won't actually get the people you're looking for, right? Because I think once you answer the why question, it sort of also informs that you've done your research, you've done your introspection, reflection to say, this is why I'm creating the brand and this is why it matters to me and it will matter to those that I'm trying to impact as well.
Oh,
Which is
absolutely.
extremely important, right? Which is great. And when, or let me rather say this, which moment, whether it's in your career or in your business, did you realize that the culmination of having this brand, even though it was very organic, right? The progression. When did you sit down and say, wow, when I look back at my journey and putting myself out there as a brand, this moment for me was the moment when I realized this is why I do what I do. Is there anything from a career or business standpoint where you're like, wow, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I really did the thing there?
Actually, now that I think about it, it must have been 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I attended a My Dough event.
Okay. Shout out to My Dough.
My Dough. Shout out to My Dough. And I was attending this event, and this young man came up to me and he grabbed me and he said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I just want to say I attended a conference 4 years ago, and what you said forever changed my life."
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't remember what this conference was because I do so many of them.
Yes.
And you know, and he said to me, and he said, "Oh, and also I've just got the job of my dreams 6 months ago." Wow. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for your impact and thank you for the power of your words. And let me tell you, I'm a woman of many words.
Yes.
I choked up. I could not find the feet, like beneath me. I really couldn't. And that's when it hits you. Really the power of impact and the power of your voice and the privilege of being on these platforms. And for me, it really solidified really the why, because that's why I wanted to do it. To use my talent, my creativity, my authenticity, my visibility to impact lives of people that I sometimes really don't even meet. Sometimes people listen to me at a conference, and often there's 1,000 people. I can't get around to everyone, and then the opportunity is missed. And the fact that he remembered, and the fact that I didn't remember, was also so humbling. Because now I was raking my brain. I thought, which one is this now?
That got me to be, you know,
and that really got me. So it was at a My Dough event. I think with my business, I think I was at a time in my professional life, in my personal life, where I needed a reset.
Yeah.
And I think it was right time, right place, and right mindset. I was experiencing quite a bit of shifts, and I was ready to find my wings and I think do some shadow work. So if anything else, my business forced me back into the shadow workspace, to really evaluate what my values are, to evaluate the type of projects I would take on, the type of clients I would do work with and collaborate with. And so it was if anything else, my business has been a true test of testing, my personal values and really the things that I've said are important to me. Either as important as I thought they were, or whether they're important in the context of a different world. And to now having to find that balance between what I can do, what I'm willing to do, and what I won't do, has been so powerful in anchoring me.
I love that. Sure. What a beautiful answer. Like, I'm taken aback. Wow. 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. But you understand the power of also just leading with that voice. So, like I always say, every episode with every guest that I have, the whole point of this podcast, guys, is not for fame and that you must push a brand for money. Yes, money's good, but the whole point is the impact thereof that comes with it, right? So when you are sitting at home and you're watching this and you are inspired and you're wanting to now ask yourself these questions to say, okay, maybe I do actually have something to offer the world. Make sure that it is authentic and it's in line with what you really want to put out there for other people to feel, so that you actually change their lives as well. And that's really important. And that's the whole basis of this, podcast. And it's been so amazing chatting to Andisa just around her process and her exposing her stories. And I'm hoping that you also got to experience her in a different light during this episode. But I think just to end off our session, I would want you to basically just describe three things, or rather, three things you would leave for younger people specifically. Because a lot of the people that listen to me are a lot younger. They will probably look up to you and be like, I'm trying to be like an Andisa one day. What would you leave them with? Not even just beyond branding, just overall motivation for their careers, or if they want to start a business. What would you say?
I think the first thing is it's okay to create your own blueprint. I didn't come from a space where I had a blueprint to follow. If anything else, I came from a small town who did not mirror my ambitions. And I had to figure that out on my own. There wasn't an HR person like me. And I had to be my own blueprint.
Yes.
And in being my own blueprint, I had to also learn the rules of the game and master them before I played the game. But I also had to forgive myself and show myself grace along the process.
I love that.
I really had to, and that's often hard. And I think we take that for granted. Like we're so hard on ourselves. And so I would say, I think figure out really who you are outside of the noise that you exist in. Because I think there's just so much noise.
There's so much.
And to resist, being part of the echo chamber. I think that's one. I think two, for me, it's again figuring out what your why is. Why do I want a personal brand? Why is this important to me? And what platforms do I want to double down on to amplify that? And where and if I should draw a degree of separation between who I am as a person and who I am as a brand. And don't be shy to preserve some for yourself. Preserve some of your magic for you.
Exactly.
We don't all need to experience it all at once or if ever at all. So I think the preservation of self. And it's that same rule when you fly, right? They'll always tell, don't try to be a hero. Put your own mask first and then go and serve somebody else. And I don't think we hear enough of that. In preserve your own magic for yourself.
Because we're trying to be everything to
We're trying
everyone.
to be everything to be
It's
everyone.
the digital age. You have to show up this way, that way.
You must trend. And you must have 10,000 followers and your post must be everywhere. And then I think lastly, just remember who you are. I think for me, like outside of work, I'm very clear on who I am. You could put me in a desert or in a very troubled environment, and I'll always remember I'm Andisa. Like my name literally means the multiplier. I can multiply anything. You can put me in any environment, and I'll multiply it.
I love that.
So I've got a really, really good sense of self. And that will always carry you through. So I think when we talk about authenticity, is if we put you in a room and we left you there, like do you go absolutely crazy or or do you know how to be self-sufficient? And that rule often applies even in businesses, even in corporate spaces, even in friend groups, even online, is how do I anchor the core of who I am? Because if you don't have a good anchor and something anchoring you down, you will be everything and everyone to every platform. And so knowing really who you are, and also I also think that the power of strength is also rest.
Yes.
We exist in a world where constantly we must put out platform. It's a rat race, constantly put out posts and take pictures of everywhere you are in and the meals and the people and post the thing and hashtag and everyone must know I'm everywhere. And you'll see, I think, and I think you know, I have times when I go completely analog. You can't find me, or it takes me days to answer. And it's because I have to pour back into me.
Absolutely.
So I never pour out from a leaking cup. I always fix my cup first.
Yes.
And if sometimes that means I need to go analog for 3 days and not respond to everything or like stuff, then that's what I do, because I come back as a better and a stronger version of me.
Absolutely. I really love the rest part.
Yes.
For me as well, because of course I'm also in the journey of building this personal brand, and it changes every day. Just going back to what you were saying earlier, and I think what I also found is that a really great strategy is rest, guys. It is like sometimes you just need to back away, and when you get that rest, you actually come back stronger and more aligned.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And sometimes even like with the posting, right? I know they say you have to have, frequency, a schedule to post, to show up, consistency, right? And I've said this too. I've said this too. But I think what's important is consistency is basically just never stopping. It doesn't have to be you posting 3 times a week. It can be once, then the other week it's twice or whatever. But the whole point is you're not stopping.
Yeah.
That's what consistency is. It's not necessarily keeping yourself to a specific number, because you'll end up being burnt out, and then the creative and the juice and the essence is now sort of deteriorating because you're trying to be everything to everyone. But it's really not the point. So post when you feel aligned to. That's what I've also been saying lately. If I feel as an urge, a creative urge to just whip out my phone and talk about my experience, usually that's the content that actually performs well.
100%.
Because I was in that moment, and I feel like it's like God was saying, yeah, that's the one you need to share. That's the one that's going to get you the people that you're trying to sort of impact. So I think the rest part is really great. I really like the fact.
I mean, the real consistency silver bullet is pouring into yourself consistently.
Yeah.
That's the real silver bullet. So if you can fiercely protect who you are and fiercely protect your spirit, that's the real consistency. Everything else will always come secondary to that. So the cadence in which you post then becomes semantics.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, the personal brands that do well are the people who are consistently themselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And even when they don't feel good. I mean, in my personal platforms, there's days where I'll post and I'm like, yeah, I feel a little bent out of shape, but hey, like I want to just say something.
Yeah.
And those posts will do so much better than the posts that I am in perfect form. I'm dressed up in this makeup and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
But I've learned, it is just so important to protect your authenticity because that really is your silver bullet. We also have to learn the power of restraint. And I don't think enough of us have restraint because we seek to be seen. I seek to be heard. That's my primary thing. I want to be heard. To be seen, it's love. It's a nice to have for me.
Nice, yeah.
It's nice. But I want to be heard. I want my politics to be heard. I want people to hear my heart. I want people to hear the things that I advocate for, the things that are important to me. That's far more important than I think having a flurry of people follow me and engage with my stuff.
Absolutely. And there you have it, folks. We had such a great conversation with Andisa today. And I think the key, points that I sort of leave with is rest. Top one. Rest. Making sure that you rest so that you can actually have more to give in your personal branding process. Understanding why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you doing it? And I think this has been consistent, and it's been a consistent narrative even in my podcast with previous guests. Like, why do you feel the need to do a certain thing? What is the motivation? Because through the why, you'll get to understand how to actually continue in that journey, right? And finally, knowing who you are. Those are the things that really, exposed how I need to also look at my own process as well. And I think this is a continuous journey, honestly, guys. Today, you know who you are. Next week, you're like, who am I? It's normal. But in this process, make sure that you are always putting yourself first, and make sure that you're just being yourself more than anything. Because at the end of the day, it is a personal brand. So it will be personal to you.
Be cheeky and add one more.
Okay,
sorry,
like
it started a thought.
No, definitely.
And I often say this, that I'm an ocean and I will never be able to turn myself into a pond because someone can't swim.
Oof.
Something to remember, I think, when you think about anchoring yourself and you think about your authenticity, you should never in any scenario turn yourself into a pond because somebody else can't swim. Always remember, you are the ocean. You are your own ocean. So I had to throw that in there before we go.
No. I know that the people at home are just like, yeah. I'm trying not to be a pond right now. I need to be an ocean. But thank you so much, Andisa, for your time. You have been absolutely lovely. And yeah, I look forward to just seeing you in other, platforms or interactions. But it has been amazing. Thank you so much. And for everyone at home, thank you guys so, so much for listening. I hope you got to learn a thing or two, or just basically even just reinforce some of the lessons you already know. Sometimes we get exposed, or we get to learn these lessons differently when we hear it from different people. All right. Thank you so much, guys. That's it from me. Cheers. Signing out.